Western Spring Television, Agobelewo, Oshobo. That's where we are. And the studio with me is food science and technology. Yes, I think I can. Food scientist and technologist. Okay, whichever way. Dr. Adedayo Adeboye is the head of department food science and technology, UNIOSUN. Before we went on break, we were talking about diversification, eating things like best care, you call it, and I was trying to also supplement it with money, and this thing I said is shakpa, functioning as meat. Now, this is the reality of our time now. The days are gone. Is there food crisis in Nigeria as a food scientist? And if there is food crisis, does it frighten you?
Yes, there is food crisis, or better put, food insecurity.
Okay, what's the difference?
That's why I said better put. We could just be playing with words. But the truth is, for a nation to be food secure, four things must happen.
Yeah.
There must be availability. Okay, there must be, in availability, you're looking at in quantity and in quality. Okay, you're also looking at utilization. Okay, and then you're looking at stability. It's not enough that the food is available. It must be available all through the year. You know, and then when it's available again, your citizens must be eating it in the right quantity and in the right quality. You know, you talked about the 111 becoming 001 or 100. That in itself is one symptom of food insecurity. You know, so we are not there yet.
I'm asking, does it worry you?
It does worry me as a food scientist because there are attendant problems to food insecurity. Taking away crime, you know, apart from crime. Because if people are hungry, they will break in and steal food. They may not steal any other thing, but food, you know. But beyond that, the health of the citizen is also challenged seriously. You'll be looking at things like undernutrition. There'll be malnourished children everywhere. You know, adults could even have the reserve, but children don't have it. So that's one major, is a critical area of food insecurity that the nation should look into. How food affects health, the unavailability of food and its attendant effect on the health of the citizens.
Spokesmen of government will want to tell us that we are not into a food crisis. It is that food is available, except that it is costly.
If it's costly, it's unavailable. Can a low-income earner buy that food?
No.
So where's the availability?
A bag of rice is a little over 100,000 now.
If you divide it by 30, sir, one bowl is how much?
That's about 3 point something naira.
So a man or woman that earns 15,000 naira in a month,
or even scale it up to 30, must he spend all
on rice?
So there is food crisis in our country. How do you food scientists intervene?
At this point now, we need to begin to look into alternatives. Speaking before the break, we're talking about lizard, money, we talked about best care, and you mentioned something very crucial. You said psychology. We have to start doing the reverse psychology now, taking our minds back to all these alternatives that urbanization has taken away from us. You know, it now becomes something that can't be heard of, that you're eating termites as meal. No. And I'm beginning to have, you know, this moment where we may have to start looking at presentation. I did a study where we included termites in cookies because Gen Zs, Gen Alphas may never imagine themselves, you serve them a dish and give them a spoon and it's termites in it. No, they won't take that. But if you include the termites in their cookies, it becomes acceptable. So these are alternatives. These are ways where food scientists can intervene.
Food scientists, I was going to ask, how do you intervene?
Yeah, these are ways of intervention that, okay, all those foods that the society seems to frown on, we can bring them back, but in socially acceptable forms.
Now, how do you as scientists, food scientists, collaborate? Because it takes time for you can't do it on your own in your own small corner.
Yes, no, we can't.
Because we have gotten to a level and time in this country that must, and then you must push it, not just these big companies you must be in collaboration with them, and then they push it to the world. Say, give it, I mean, come to professionals, they design some the content. Gen Zs will Gen Zs believe in taste.
Taste and appearance is very germane to them. It's very, 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 very important. And so, yes, I agree with you that we must synergize with the companies. There's something called multidisciplinary collaborations. We collaborate even beyond the shores of Nigeria with people that have access to possibly better facilities or, you know, discoveries, and then we bring our own aspect into it. That collaboration is imminent, more than ever before now, because we want to start coming up with newer forms of food using available resources.
We still do plantation agriculture. We do this, people farm. What in your mind, as a researcher, you must have done one or two things closer. If you have not done, the question is, what has caused the crisis in the insecurity, to borrow your language, in food?
The causes of food insecurity are a lot. There are a lot. Number one is this economic situation. We also have weather. These days, the weather trajectory has changed. We have also, in weather, you also have cultural practices, farming practices, you know. We also have the insecurity that is not, there's not food insecurity, the threat to life.
Yeah, it's insecurity.
Yeah,
too.
but it's not food, right?
Yeah, it's not food, but it leads to...
But it leads to food because farmers can't go to their farms, or their farms are plundered by animals, you know, and so there's shortage. We have disease infestation too, all these things, and if our government are not paying proper attention, it will lead to food shortage. There are times that we have seasonal glut. Now, you don't even know when the food is in season because certain things have hindered the availability of that food.
For instance, this year, between July, August, and September, farmers were expecting rains. Rains didn't come.
So there was no glut of anything, you know, because of the rains, you know, and that's the climatic conditions, or that's the effect of climate change on us too. Okay. You know, so
food processing or processed food appears to have taken over all over the world. The white men brought it. We used to, in those days when you were young, you knew what kind of food mama and papa gave you. Everything was raw. Today, food processing has taken over. It has its good and bad points. Tell me the challenge that food processing is posing today.
White men did not bring food processing.
Well,
we've been processing food.
Yeah, you are right.
Ages.
You are right. Yes, but this
they brought some modifications. Yes,
okay.
They brought some modifications. They brought some mechanizations into it. You know, the most traditional form of food processing is salting. You know, now this is where processing and preservation clashes. You know, so where preservation is a form of processing. You know, and for instance, last night, based on the conversation, I discovered that the kiri was an accidental innovation because of processing. You know, so yes, I agree that along the line, Westerners have brought, I rather call it ultra processing. That is, you know, over processing. But without food conversion, we can't be where we are. You can't have gari by putting cassava in water. Something has to give. There has to be some form of conversion. That's food processing. But I also, at the same time, also agree with you that some foods have become over-processed. And that becomes a danger in itself. But you see, economics is a law of demand and supply, sir. Westernization and urbanization, or the fast evolving developments that we see all around us. People want to eat on the go.
Yeah.
So I have a customer that wants to eat on the go. I want to make money. I will provide for you the food that you need to eat on the go.
In spite of what it could challenge you in future?
So the question is, what are these challenges? What are these dangers? And then can we minimize them? There's some, like I said, food processing is germane. It's important. But you now want to be careful that you do not eat certain over-processed foods or the nature of processed foods you're looking for. Junks, foods high in sugar and salt. You know, you the consumer, you know that what you're eating is high in sugar and salt. You don't want too much of that in your body system. But the fast-paced life that we live, the demands of job and all of that makes people to go for these things. I just feel that people should, as much as possible, let's stay green. As much as possible, let's stay natural. But at the same time, there are certain foods that must be processed for us to eat it. If you're going to put salt in your food, you can't go to the sea and take a cup of seawater and have that as your salt, right? Yeah. But at the same time, salt is available. How much of it do you use? Sugar is available. How much of it do you use? Palm oil is available. These are things that affect the palatability of food. Okay. We can't cancel them, right, but we can regulate the consumption so that the far-reaching effects are minimized.
Time is not very much on our side, but I can't let you go without asking or requesting you to tell me, vicariously the listener, the viewer, about genetically modified foods. What are they a threat to us, especially in developing nations? What are they in the first place, and what?
That topic is a very huge one.
I don't want just
can't
give me
exhaust it.
Specifics.
But from the word genetically modified foods, these are foods that have their DNAs altered for specific reasons. Anyway, you know.
When do they have the DNAs altered? When before plantation or what? Definitely
is during planting or before planting. The seed crop.
Yeah.
And there are reasons for it. For instance, one major reason why genetic modification comes in could be the desire to have disease-resistant crops. Okay. If a particular crop has been known to be prone to this particular disease, you find a way of solving that problem by altering. It could be just cutting away a part of its DNA or adding that resistance. You know, it's more it's biotechnological, right? But at the end of the day, so you eventually have a product that is now resistant to that disease. Also, you could have genetic modification in terms of productivity, enhanced productivity. You want to have more volume. All right, but there are regulations to these things. The question is, are people obeying? Are planters obeying? Are processors obeying? But genetically modified foods are not in itself dangerous.
Oh.
It is how we go about it.
The fear has been, oh, don't eat it. We
you are eating a lot of it. Are you not eating broiler? You're eating broiler, you're eating noila. These are genetically modified organisms. You know, so not all of them will be harmful. I don't want to talk in absolute
when you talk about
sense.
Animals, yes, animals, but
so why
plants.
are you excusing animals and not excusing plants?
I don't know. I'm not a
It's
scientist.
knowledge. It's knowledge. Most times our fears could be based on ignorance or not having enough knowledge about certain things. But as food scientists, we have been informed that genetic modification is supposed to be a solution to a problem. It's not supposed to be a money-making venture.
Has it now become, rather than solution, has it become a problem?
It might have been hijacked. I don't want to speak, you know, but the intent, the very essence of it was to solve problems, to make life easier. For instance, as food processors, there are you pick a plant like tomato. Tomato means different things to a food scientist. So a food scientist that wants tomato juice, there is a kind of tomato you want. There are certain constituents that tomato must have, a particular level of moisture, a particular level of solids. Right. But the maker of tomato paste is the other way around.
Money.
No, not money. So you want less moisture, more solid. The juicer, you want more moisture, less solid. So yes, at some point you may need to make alterations so that you get what you want. And that's where modification comes in, you know, where you now alter the DNA traits of the parent plant, and then it gives birth to all of that. So
today we have myths surrounding some foods.
yeah.
So many myths. What is responsible for this, and how realistic are the myths?
Many myths are born out of possibly, you know, in our culture, possibly to preserve the culture or to prevent bad habits, so to speak. But many things are incorrect. For instance, you tell a pregnant woman not to eat snails. Why?
Culturally based. But scientifically, is there any proof?
Is the eldest or one of the eldest. You know,
yeah, but this is a cultural. For instance, people from Benue State, they're not likely to eat snails.
Okay.
While the man from Ikire or Oshogbo or Ibadan will enjoy snails. So it's a cultural thing.
Yes.
So it is up to you, specialists, professionals,
to make information available. Yes, I agree.
Can we also have even snail flavor and things like that? Put it in, I don't know. The idea just came to me. If it is that good, yes, the pregnant woman needs it, but the culture doesn't allow her. She lives in Benue State. So pump something in and...
but you cannot give her food and not let her know she's eating snail or something that has snail in it.
Except something like pork, which is religious.
All right. So it's,
anything else?
It's left to the end users. Sir, if I know that snail is beneficial to my health, it's rich in iron, and I need it, I have to find a way of eating it. I would not tell you that I ate it.
How does he know? Or he or she know?
Yes.
It is your professionals, you professionals rather, who must, I said
give
it,
the information.
Yes, give the information and collaborate with the big organizations
to I remember,
push this out.
Yes, so that's where, again, that's another example of collaboration with the nutritionist. So, you know, sometimes the nutritionists are closer to these end users than we are.
Yeah.
And so we send information out. During clinics, during engagements, they give this information out, telling them how nutritious this food. It's left to the individual to come out of the myth, you know, that this food is dangerous. Or processed foods. Not all processed foods are bad. You know, processed foods are a means of convenience.
Between convenience and the harm, that you scientists know, where would you situate the end user? Between convenience and the possible likely harm that it...
But what are these possible likely harms?
I don't know. You
as a
scientist,
I feel that some harms may come in when we overdo. When we overdo things, or when we make outrageous demands, or when producers are dishonest. And that's not the fault of the food scientist. I've given you a formula. What you do with the formula as the manufacturer now is yours. You know, so, but at the same time, thank God for modernization. Consumers can be aware of what they are eating. They must be sensitive to what they are eating. Food processing in itself does not have any harm. But along the line, many things have been tweaked, many things, you know, but at the end of the day, ask yourself, do you really need it? This sugar that you want to take, do you really need it? And so it's your choice to choose convenience or harm.
When you choose convenience as a young person, when you grow old, it becomes a problem.
That's a myth, sir.
It's a myth?
Yes.
Okay. Well, but you have just told me you want to choose between convenience and your health.
You can still minimize it. For instance, convenience, Gary is convenience.
Yes. But how much sugar do you put into it?
Do you have to put sugar in the Gary?
Some people have gotten to the level that without sugar, they cannot take Gary.
That's why I said we also have to
convenience, the harm. Anyway, the topic, the conversation cannot end in this studio. I'd like to appreciate you for coming, Dr. Adedayo Adeboye, Head of Department Food Science and Technology, UNIOSUN, Osun State University. It's been a very interesting conversation, And as I did mention it from the beginning, food is a leveler. It touches everybody. No matter who, the presidents eat food, kings eat it, scientists eat, and we, the poor masses, we all eat it. I hope you got something very informative about what to do and what not to do. Most importantly, it made us understand that going into extra time is not necessary in circumstances like this. You have to be moderate in everything you take. I'm Adetoyese Shtiu Alamu. I thank you for watching, and hopefully next week we'll bring you another guest. Madam, thank you for finding time at a short notice to come.
Sir. Thank you.
That has been our package. We see you next week.